everyone, it's Sharonda from Pay or Wait, and today I'm going to be reviewing Euphoria Season 1, Episode 8, and Salt the Earth Behind You. You guys, I didn't even want to record this because I'm sad. I don't want to say goodbye. It's been such a great 8 weeks of talking to you guys, okay? Talking about Euphoria, just a great show. I'm really sad to see everybody go, but I do want to do kind of like a live stream next Sundays to talk about Euphoria, give people time to binge for people who are just starting the show, also to give people time to watch the season finale. If you guys want to do something like that, let me know in the comment section below. We'll go ahead and get that set up for next Sunday. But yeah, so... Oh, also too, I know it look like I ain't got no clothes on, but I do. It falls down. I can't help it. I don't want y'all to think I'm on here recording naked because I'm not. So I found it very interesting that the title of this episode is called "And Salt the Earth Behind You." I'm weird about history stuff, so salting the earth was like a ritual that was performed in conquered cities or traders. They would salt the earth so to render it not re-inhabitable. So I thought it was very interesting that this is the title of the episode, where we see destruction with some of the characters, not all of them, but I found it just very interesting that that is what they would choose to name the last episode. This episode was all over the place, for good and bad, but I'm going to try to just summarize this by the characters, but of course I have to leave RUE for last, but she might overlap into some stories, so bear with me. I'm going to try to make this as organized as possible, but I think it's very important to first start with Cassie. So we know last week's episode was about Cassie, and we found out that she's pregnant. She told McKay, Chris basically told her that he wants her to have an abortion. And so we saw at the end of the episode that she finally did go talk to her mother about what was happening. And so we see that Cassie's mom takes her to the doctor. So it's her, her mom, and Lexi, her sister. And so they go with her to the doctor's office to have the abortion. And I found it very interesting when the doctor is asking her about her family's history. And she talks about how her mom abuses alcohol, how her dad abused drugs as well, her finally confronting the vices of her parents. And then also too, she's never spoke about how she saw the track marks in her dad's arm. So she's finally admitting to someone that her father was a drug addict. And so the look that she has in her face, they're doing a close-up on her face and her eyes as the doctor continues to ask her questions. It really made me hurt for her. And even more so when we get to the scene of her actually being on the table, the nurse gives her some Valium to basically help ease her discomfort during the procedure. And so we see the doctor tells her, you know, sometimes it helps people if they actually put music on. And so I found it very interesting that the song that she chooses to play is by Arcade Fire, and it's called My Body Is a Cage. And so to me, in my opinion, I find this song so significant because it talks about anxiety. When we kind of see glimpses of Jules and RUE and kind of this decision as her kind of this panic attack that she begins to have as she tells Jules that she wants to like get out of here, and her realizing what she has said. I think it's interesting that the song deals with that, but also too talking about my body is a cage that keeps me from dancing with the one I love. Speaking of losing a loved one that you feel near to, but you're losing them at the same time, which kind of speaks to Cassie's situation of her unborn child, how she's living through the death of her child as she has an abortion, and how she wants to be a mother, but due to the situations, she feels as though it's not the time. And so I just found it very significant of showing her ice skating, which was another task that she wanted to finish, that she wanted to complete, but her parents didn't have the money to do so. I find it very interesting that that's the song that she chooses to play, and I found it's a very like sad song, and it's sad what both characters are kind of going through at the same time. And even where we see Fez as he's dealing with his situation, and he's trying to find the money to pay back Mouse so he doesn't lose his life as well. But after that, We see some interesting moments between her and her sister Lexi at the dance, where basically Lexi was like, you know, how do you hook up with someone, or how do you choose who you want to hook up with? And she was like, they just come to you. And then she was like, and if they don't, she's like, you go find who you want to hook up with. And so I love seeing the interactions between Cassie and Lexi, and I hope that we explore them being sisters more in season 2 than what we necessarily have done in season 1. I also find it interesting when her mom finally tells Lexi, you look beautiful, as she comes downstairs from getting ready for the dance, which is really the first time that we've ever heard her mom call Lexi beautiful. And it seemed like it really had an impact on her. But I do want to get more of a backstory just on Lexi and not necessarily attached to Cassie, because we always see Lexi and Cassie's shadow, or as RUE's friend, who you think that they're best friends, but there's kind of some weirdness. We don't know if Lexi is in love with RUE and RUE can't see it, but I want to get to learn more about who Lexi is just as a person, but also to see the interactions between her and her sister Cassie. So next we're going to talk about Kat. So Kat is an interesting character for me this season. She started out being this virgin who lost her virginity to try to make it seem like she's trying to conquer her body or take control of her own body, when really she's using the insecurities of being rejected by men as a means to go and have sexual relationships with them. And so I found it very interesting. We see that she's still on the outs. She's getting dressed for the dance by herself. We saw the blow up that she had with Maddie and everyone else as she walked out when Cassie was trying to tell them she was pregnant, but also too if she should tell Chris about Daniel. But we see when she's crying, her mom asks her, like, are you going to the dance with anyone? She says no, but we see that she's crying in the mirror. So we don't know if she's crying because of her lack of friendships right now, the fact that she is going to the dance alone, that she finally realizes she pushed Ethan away, the one person who really was trying to make a real connection with her. Or I don't even know if Daniel, just being the jerk that he is, how he interacted with her after they had sex, like maybe that sent her over the edge as well. But we see that her and Maddie still have some type of tensions as she gets to the table with the other ladies, but she decides to go and speak to Ethan, and she tells Ethan why she was mad or why she was treating him differently after the carnival. And I was just like, look, let me tell you something. If I was Ethan, my petty levels would have been on 1,000, 1 trillion. I'd have been like, ma'am, I mean, that's fine and all that you want to, now you've learned how to communicate and express your feelings like an adult. And she did say that she was being juvenile, because you was being really petty, being very childish, but I wouldn't have taken her back, because she did him a couple of times, just being rude as hell. I just didn't like her treatment of Ethan. But because Ethan, being the great guy that he is, he says like, hey, this probably won't last forever, but like, I don't want to hurt you, but like, I want to be with you. They end up kissing, so I guess everything's gonna be fine and dandy with Kat. And I hope that this helps her understand that she can have a happy ending, that she can find happiness, that people are out there to get to know her, not to just take her body by having sex with her. So I hope that this ushers in a new phase for Kat as we get into season 2, that we really get to see her kind of respect herself, love herself, know who she is as a person, and know that she's worth love. And I hope that she does find that with Ethan, even though I would have been petty and be like, I don't want nothing to do with you, bye-bye. But that's what happened in the episode. So next, who I want to talk to is, we need to talk about Fez. Fez has me stressed out because, you know, in last week's episode, Nate called the cops because Fez confronted Nate about, hey, I need you to leave RUE and Jules alone. I don't know what you have going on with them, but I need you to take a chill pill and just time out on that. So Nate ended up calling the cops, had Fez and Ashtray's place raided by the cops. So we see that Fez is like looking like he up to something. He's waiting outside somebody's house. We see Mouse leave the house. So I was like, what is he trying to do? Is he trying to kill Mouse? I don't understand. Then he ends up at somebody else's house. I was like, is he trying to kill Nate or kill their dad? I don't know what was happening, but he breaks into a doctor's house. And we see that he confronts the doctor. He says, hey, I just want your money. Don't do nothing stupid, and then like we could be on about our day. But of course we see that as he's pulling the cash out of his drawer, and I was like, sir, what kind of doctor are you that you have all this cash? Then you saw all the prescription pill bottles at the bottom too. I was just really confused. Like, is that Mouse's supplier? or like I'm just trying to figure out, because I feel like there's more to this that meets the eye, and maybe we'll figure that out in season 2. But he tries to pull his gun. Fez gets distracted and he sees that the doctor's son is actually awake and he's watching this entire thing transpire. And then he sees that the guy tries to pull out a gun. Fez beats him, bloodies him. I don't know if he kills the guy, just leaves him very bloody. But he ends up getting the money, and he takes the money back, as we see that Ashtray sends Fez a text message that he's still sitting in the car, basically saying that Mouse has arrived at their house. And so it looked like, you know, everything seemed cool, but then we see that Mouse has the gun, but he hands them the money. The dude's looking like he sees the blood. He's looking like, sir, where did this blood come from? So he shows Mouse, and then Fez like, we good? And I'm like, yeah, are we good? Because I really can't lose Fez at this point in time. It would just break my soul too much to see Fez go. Please let this be okay, Mouse, because you done gave me 3 heart attacks this season so far. I can't take another one right now, not in the season finale. So we don't really know what happens. It kind of just switches, it really just switches to a different scene. So I don't know if he's okay, if Mouse is gonna shoot him. I don't know, but I really want Fez to be okay and to be alive for season 2. And I would like them to explore his character a little bit more, about why he dropped out of school, what happened with his grandma. I'm still trying to figure out why grandma had all those guns in the first place. Was this her business to begin with? Kind of how he started his relationship with Mouse, because it seems like a relationship that he really doesn't want to be in, but he's kind of in too deep at this point. So I do want to see them develop his character a little bit more in season 2 than what we've seen so far. But I guess, you know what? We're going to talk about Nate crazy behind, because Nate, I hate him so much. With all my heart and soul, I hate him so much. Yes, you got to go. But we know that Nate wasn't going to go. I don't think anything bad is necessarily going to happen to Nate, because Nate creates most of the conflict. Actually, 100% of the conflict that is created on the show has stemmed from Nate in some way, shape, or form. So we know that he has to stay on the show. But I would have to say that Jacob, who plays him, he did a fantastic job this episode, especially in the scene with his dad. But we see at the beginning of the episode that Nate is getting ready for the dance. He's with some random chick, and I was kind of confused, because I was like, well, I thought that since, you know, your name was exonerated, even though you basically made Tyler confess to a crime that he did not commit, that him and Maddie were cool, they were okay. I don't know if their parents were still okay with them being together, but we see that his mom whispers in his ear like, hey, I actually really like her. But I was like, sis, I mean, she ain't really my sis, but I was like, girl, why you feel so comfortable putting your feet on the dashboard? I was just like, you way too comfortable in my car. Like, if you don't see me put my feet on the dashboard, don't put your feet on my dashboard. And even they was looking like, can you please take your feet off my dashboard? I just feel like she was like really way too comfortable. Where did she come from? Did I miss her? Was she like somewhere behind the scenes this whole season? I just didn't know. I just don't know where Nate randomly got this like random girl. But we see that the reason that Nate did not take Maddie to the dance is because they got into it. They're trying to have sex. He couldn't get his wee-wee hard, and so then she has an issue with that. She's like, what is wrong with you? He's like, I got a lot on my mind. She's like, how you got a lot on your mind and we trying to have sex right now? That just makes no sense, no logical sense to me. And so he brings up the fact that like, maybe because you told everybody about the wee-wee pics in my phone, and now everybody looking at me crazy, and now I got all these rumors, and my mind is bad. So she was like, hey, I didn't tell nobody technically after you told me, but by the time you told me, I had already told everyone. And I was like, girl, Maddie, I don't understand you. I really want Maddie to know her worth as well, and to know that she's not in a healthy relationship. And the crazy thing is, she knows that, Nate knows that, but they don't know how to leave one another alone. And so, you know, while you were sitting here telling all these people about these pics on the phone, you don't think that people are going to look at you crazy like, ma'am, why are you still with him? If he has all these like peen wee-wee pics in the phone, that just makes no sense. But she tries to tell him like, hey, like, you know, if you're bisexual or if you're experimenting, like, that's okay with me. We just like need to talk about it. Then he gets crazy, grabs her, yells at her. And I was just like, Maddie, this is what I'm talking about. He is crazy. And I just really hope that she can get some help, that she can go to therapy, that she can find someone to talk about this, because she's very well aware of the toxic relationship that she's in. I think that they've been together for so long, and this is the only type of relationship that they know, because they both have parents who are both in dysfunctional relationships, so they've never been able to see what a healthy relationship looks like. That's what's making this transition so hard for them. But we see that after she leaves, or while she's leaving, she kind of takes a book, and I don't know what she took off of his desk, but we see as she's going down the steps that his dad tells her, like, hey, like, you're probably like a good person, but like, you need to just leave him alone. And then she basically said, sir, like, why you sitting up here? She didn't say all of this, but I'm like, Cal, why you sitting up here trying to give her all this advice? Get your family together. Get your relationship with your wife, your relationship with your kids. Get your whole life together. How you sitting up here trying to give life advice to this teenager, but you doing some messed up stuff, which is why your son messed up at the same time. And so even she tells him, like, your family is weird. And I was like, yes, it is. I don't understand. I do want to know if Cal's wife knows about him sleeping with other men. Or, you know, I wonder, does she know about it and she just ignores it? Or is she just completely oblivious as to what's going on? I really need to know that for next season. I need to see them do like a background, and even like a background on Cal, to see why he does the things that he does. Is there something that happened to him when he was younger that triggered him, or that he feels as though he can't live his truth? I would like to see that as well. But we see that at the dance, Nate is trying to make her jealous, dancing with this girl. And I was like, sir, so you just gonna pull the girl's dress up, her cheeks is all exposed for the entire world to see? And like, ma'am, you're okay with this? You don't feel that breeze on your bum bum? You didn't feel that? You thought that was okay? I don't know why. Then we see they're telling like, Maddie, chill out, girl. Don't do nothing. I thought she was gonna go fight old girl, but instead she's looking for these dudes to dance, and then she picked the brother to dance. I said, Lord, please don't let Maddie get this brother killed. She had already got Tyler, you know, his eye detached. He got broken ribs. He got a neck brace. I was like, please don't let her do this to this brother, okay? He just wanted to dance. He didn't want to get involved in all this mess that you got going on with Nate. She started dancing. Nothing happened to the brother. I was very happy because I was really concerned at a certain point in time. But we see, it's interesting that the girls are having a discussion because Nate comes and disrespectfully asks her to dance. And so they start dancing. And then they basically have this conversation. She tells him, like, you're abusive, you're psychotic, like, this is so unhealthy. And he was like, I know. And she was like, I don't think we should be together. He was like, I know. And I was like, well, if you know and she know, why is it so hard for you guys to leave each other alone? I just don't understand it. I want both of them to get help. I want both of them to just figure out life, love themselves, and love themselves enough to just let go and let God. I just don't understand. But I found it very interesting that they're having this conversation, the ladies are having a conversation at the table. It kind of makes a valid point. Like, this is the type of relationship or couple, they're going to get married like 3 times and get divorced and then somehow still like live the perfect happy life. And they were just like, I agree. And I was just like, ironically, I definitely agree with you guys as well. But we see that we're going through flashbacks of everything that's happened. As I said, this episode is very over the place. But we see that they're playing their game. I don't know if they're in the playoffs or it's the last episode of the regular season. But we see that Nate is having a hard time. The wide receivers can't catch the ball. He ends up scoring the winning touchdown. But we see at the end of the day, we saw that Cal just had a very disappointed look on his face. He wasn't cheering. He wasn't excited that they won. And when he comes home, he goes into Nate's room and tells him, you may have won a game, but you lost control of your team. Your team doesn't trust you. You're not being a leader. You're not leading your team. And that clearly showed in the game that you guys were all off sync. And so Nate got up and he stepped to him. I was like, Nate, you finna square up or something? What you doing? Even his daddy was like, hey, take a step back. You're too close to my face. Take a step back. And he was like, or what? What you gonna do? Then his daddy like grabbed him, threw him on the bed, got on top of him, held him down. They wrestling. I'm looking like, Lord, please don't kill your son right now because I can't just take this. But at the same time, I'm wondering, where's your brother? Where's your mama? Nate is like, he's like yelling. Then he starts crying. His dad like pins him to the ground. Then Nate started banging his head like on the ground after he called his daddy the F word. I was like, Lord, he finna kill him right now because I can't even believe that he said that to him in the first place. But as he's like banging his head, screaming, yelling, his dad like kind of just backs up in disbelief, and then he just walks off. And I was just like, that scene right there, I really hope that they do submit that episode for Emmy consideration for next year, depending on how all of the other TV shows stack up in 2020. But I will have to say, even though I do despise Nate with all of my heart and soul, Jacob did a very fantastic job this entire season. For someone to make you hate them so much that even when you see them in real life that you still have an issue with them, that takes great skill. And that scene where he was having this breakdown in front of his dad, I just thought that that was so well done, so very well acted. And you can tell that Nate's character, he knows something is wrong with him. He knows that what he does is not right and he's trying to change, but he just doesn't know how. And I really hope that he has a discussion with his dad, or his father tries to have a discussion with him, or lead by example and live his truth. I don't know how that's going to happen, but I really hope that they find some type of healing. If y'all can get Ayanna to come up here and help them fix their life, I would greatly appreciate it. But essentially, that's all that really happens with Nate. The rest of what Nate says as RUE confronts her, I want to leave that for RUE. But I think I pretty much summed up everyone else outside of who I need to talk about necessarily for RUE and Jules together. But yeah, I think I did. I think I got everyone. If I missed somebody, I'm sorry. Y'all charge it to my heart, not charge it to my mind, not my heart. But we got to talk about RUE. So RUE had a lot going on this episode. It was a whole lot. I thought it was... The whole relationship between her and her mom was so beautifully done. And I want to go into that because that scene of that song, or also too with Leslie, we see that she is reading this letter when RUE was in, rehab during the summer before the school year started. I just thought that was so powerful. But we see that last episode, RUE had a kidney infection because she was so depressed she couldn't even go to the bathroom. It was caused buildup. She's in a lot of pain. Her mom took her to the hospital. They immediately offer her Vicodin, which I find very interesting that because substance abuse is so significant in today's society, I found it crazy that they wouldn't have checked her records first before this nurse just went and offered her this Vicodin. And so RUE kind of looking like, should I do this or should I not do this? But she ends up telling the lady that she had a bad reaction, but instead she asked for some Tylenol. But then she gets the idea to ask for this drug that's even stronger than Vicodin. But the nurse says, okay, well, let me just go check with the doctor real quick. And then the doctor shut that all the way down. She's like, excuse me, ma'am, you thought you was being slick, but Leslie beat you to the punch because she already put that you had the drug addiction, the substance abuse on your record. So we're going to go ahead and give you some Tylenol. So you're going to be in a little bit of pain, but at least you're going to be sober. I was like, thank you, because I was really scared that she was going to go ahead and relapse. I was like, girl, you didn't come too far to go down, to turn back and go down this road. We can't do this. So we see that she talks about how she's very happy. And this is probably the happiest that we've seen her this entire season, even outside of the infatuation of how Jules makes her happy. And so she talks about how she loves being in the hospital because there's no responsibility, there's no anxiety, because she always has somebody there to help her if she's having an issue with something. And so I found that very interesting because I was like, oh my goodness, look at RUE being all happy. Like, I want to see this RUE more. But we know that this is going to be short-lived as we get to the end of the season finale. So we see that Jules visits her in the hospital and she asks her, like, did you do this because I was gone? And so, RUE tells her no, like, I've been this way my entire life. Like, even if you could have triggered it, like, this has been my life. Even before you've come into it, this is what I've always been accustomed to. And so Jules apologizes to RUE for also not telling her the truth. So I guess they've had a conversation. RUE kind of told her she knew what was going on between her and Nate. So all the secrets are out. They on the same page. And then Jules also finds it interesting. I find it interesting that Jules decides to tell her about Anna, the girl that she hooked up when she went back to see her friend. And I find this interesting, and this is why Jules has kind of bothered me the second half of the season, because she knows how fragile RUE is. And I know that even though RUE suffers from, all of these, illnesses and the substance abuse, that is not Jules' fault, or is it Jules' responsibility to kind of hinder her life or stunt her growth because of RUE. But if you know that she's in love with you, you've been hot or cold with her like every other episode, you're kissing her one episode, then you're backing away when a girl try to kiss you, like, I just feel like she's been all over the place. And so I just found it interesting that she thought it would be okay after she just went through this whole bout of depression to just tell her the story on how she hooked up with Anna. I just found that to be very weird. I don't know if it's just me, but I really don't like how she plays with Rue's emotions. She really annoyed the living hell out of me this episode from the choices that she decides to make. We see that they're having this interesting conversation about how she made the joke about how Jules looks like, dresses like Seth Rogen, which I laughed at. But once we get to the end of the episode, why I felt like a jerk after her saying that is so she's kind of dressing her up. She's getting her ready, you know, to go to the dance, making her look all pretty, having her dress different, which I thought was cute. But we see that she tells her, like, you know, she goes into this daydream about how she would like to kill Nate. And I was like, girl, I feel you, because I was totally with that. Set him on fire, shoot him a whole bunch of times. I was like, I get the feeling. But we see that they are basically going to the dance. And so I found this very interesting that Leslie, who definitely has a type of man that she likes to see, that she was drinking wine with Jules' dad. And I was like, Leslie, why you being messy right now? You know that your daughter like his daughter. What are you guys doing? And then we saw that they was having like a good little time even after they left. And I was like, Leslie, there are so many other white men in the world for you to be looking after. You do not need to be going for Jules' mom, because it's going to make things way too awkward. And I just can't even deal with the fallout that will come from this. But I feel like they probably going to be messing around as we get into season 2. But he definitely better than Nick, whatever his name was from last episode, because I was just like, Leslie, you can do so much better. Just don't do him. Please don't do him. But I found it interesting that when they're at the table and then Rue was talking about how she's been sober for 3 months, or Jules was like, you know, Rue's been sober for 3 months. Maddie was like, ma'am, didn't you get out of rehab 6 months ago though? I was like, thank you, Maddie, for catching on to that timeline, because obviously nobody else did. But we see that Rue looks at Jules' phone when it goes off. She sees the picture of Anna that Anna sends her. The smiles that Jules has kind of reminiscent to how she was looking when she was texting Tyler, aka Nate. And I was just like, Jules, why are you doing this right now? I don't understand. Do you like her? Do you not like her? And she finally tells her towards the end of the episode, but I'm still bothered about how just Jules is so wishy-washy. So then she finally understands that she needs to go to the bathroom. She's taking these pictures, sending it to old girl, texting back and forth. Rue goes to go find her, and then basically she knows who she's texting, blah, blah, blah. And so then Jules is like, can I ask you a question? And she's like, what? She's like, why don't you kiss me? She's like, I do kiss you. She's like, but why don't you kiss me? And so then she kind of gives an opening for Rue to take charge and take the initiative to kiss her. And then she hesitates, and then Jules is like, let's just go dance. Which I understand why Rue would hesitate, because Jules is all over the place. Like last time she tried to kiss you, you backed up. I don't understand. You're kind of trying to tell her to be more assertive, to be more forward, but I wouldn't want to kiss you either, because you sit up here texting this other girl and then you sit up here talking about why you won't kiss me. Maybe because you be having relations with everybody else except the person who always be there for you every single time something bad happens. I don't understand. I'm starting to have kind of this love-hate relationship with Jules. It just makes me a little bit mad. But yes, so as they're walking on the dance floor, they're dancing, and then she sees Nate. Nate kind of gives Rue this weird look. Rue goes outside. I don't know what the hell Rue thought she was about to do. Confronts him about Jules, brings up his dad, and I was like, Lord, Nate finna kill Rue. But he can't kill Rue because she like the lead of the whole show. But I didn't know what was going to happen. And Nate kind of like, he was like, ma'am, you sitting up here like worried about Jules, who's probably not even going to remember you 10 years from now. And I was like, well, Nate's in the ass, but he kind of has a point here. I just don't understand why Rue always wants to blow her life up for Jules. I know that she's in love with her and she wants to be with her, but you have all these people who are basically telling you that your relationship was doomed from the beginning. And even though it's Nate saying this, I'm just like, girl, get out of there. Don't be trying to threaten Nate, because she tried to threaten him about him calling the cops on Fez and Ashtray. And I was just like, girl, just leave this entire thing alone. So Nate actually ends up leaving. And then we see that Rue and Jules are having a conversation. And so Rue asks her point blank, like, feel like I keep hearing something weird. Anyways, Rue asks Jewel a question and she says, like, do you love Anna? And then she says yes. And I'm like, girl, didn't you just meet Anna last episode? Like, you only known her for one night. You're already in love with this girl. But then Jules asks her, like, do you love me? And she says yes. And then she was like, you know, do you wish I was different? And she shakes her head no. We see that Rue finally takes the initiative, kisses Jules, and then she says, let's get out of here. So I thought they meant like, let's just go back to the place and hook up. And I thought they was like gonna come home and see that the parents were smashing. But I didn't know that they meant like they was gonna leave town. And I was like, what, huh? Where y'all going? I don't understand. So you finna go to the city to find Anna, the other girl that she in love with? Like, did we think this through? I didn't understand where the thought process came for all of this. But I was like mad confused. So they go get tickets, go to the train station, they get a ticket, and then this is when the song is playing, the Arcade Fire song, and Rue finally realized, like, this is a dumb idea. Like, we cannot do this. My parents would freak out. My sister would freak out. I cannot put my, like, mother through what she went through before. And so Jules is like, please come, please come. You can really tell that Rue is breaking down. The girl is crying, and Jules is still begging her to come. And I was just, this is another moment. I'm like, Jules, like, recognize that this girl is having anxiety, a panic attack. Then she said, I don't have my medication. She was like, we'll figure it out. And I'm like, Jules, don't say things like this. Like, this makes no sense. And this is why Jules was pissing me off this episode, because I think that she really doesn't keep in mind of Rue's condition or how her actions affect Rue at the same time. And I just felt like that was very unwise as a friend, very unwise as a lover, very inconsiderate, very selfish of her trying to beg her to get on this train when you see that she's breaking down. So we see that Rue makes a decision to basically let Jules go by herself, and she stays. And so she's breaking down, she's crying, she's walking home. And so I find it very interesting that as her mom is reading this letter, the letter that she's reading about how she felt about her daughter when she first came into the world, and as she writes a letter not only to Rue but to herself of everything that they will go through. And so I thought one of the most profound things that she said was she had to realize that no matter what she says, does, or wish, that Rue's decision to be clean and be happy will be on her own, and that all she can do is that she hopes that she gives herself the chance that she knows that she deserves. And so it's so profound to me, because Rue is kind of having this realization as she lets Jules go, but she decides to stay. But this is where there's a conflict that happens, and as she's making this choice of that she doesn't feel that she can be clean, because the one person that was helping her be clean, she let go away. And so there's a song that starts, it's a song by Donny Hathaway, and it's called A Song for You. It's a very beautiful song, a song that basically he's singing to his loved one, who he took for granted, but he knows that, like, he loves that person unconditionally and they love him unconditionally. And this song is basically letting that person know that I love you and I care for you. And I think it's so important because this song is not only mainly for her mother, Leslie, and really kind of the song of, you know, Leslie's letter to Rue, but also to Jules at the same time. And so what I found so interesting is that we see the arguments between her and her mom. Her mama mushed her. I was like, Mel, you feel that comfortable calling your mama a B? I was just like, girl, how are you living to tell the tale right now? But we saw that her mama mushed her, which made Gia go off. She was like, obviously you see that she has a problem. And then she was just like, no, I'm sick of all of this. I can't be dealing with all of this. And then her mom tells her, like, go after your sister since you want to be like her. And then Gia tells her mom, like, I don't want to be like you. And I was like, why are you so disrespectful to your mom? But I know everybody was in the heat of the moment. But I was still like, Leslie, we got to work on, like, I understand that you're going through a lot. She lost her husband. She's dealing with her child's, you know, substance abuse. It's a lot. But we got to figure something out, because I cannot believe that she was talking to her mama like that. But one of the craziest revelations that happened as I was laughing in the beginning of the episode on when Jules said that she dresses like Seth Rogen because she's always wearing a hoodie, that the hoodie that she wears is her dad's hoodie that she picked up off the bed after the EMTs took her dad out of the house after he died. And so now we understand why she wears that hoodie all of the time, to be closer to her father, which absolutely made like tears form in my eyes. And I was just like, I can't take it. Between this song, between their revelation, it was so crazy. And so we see that she ends up going home. She has the hoodie on, and then she decides to do drugs. And then we go into the song by one of the composers of the show, Labyrinth, a song called All of Us, which actually features Zendaya. And so I thought it was really cool how they went into the song, you know, kind of the interpretive dance that they had. I thought it was really interesting. I liked it. It made me listen to the song a couple of times after the episode was over. But I do want to see them dive more into Leslie's background, how she dealt with her husband's death, how she's dealing with her daughter right now, because we really don't get to see it that much. We see her trying to encourage her daughter, how she worries about her daughter, but I do want to see who Leslie is as a person. I do want to see them dive deeper into Gia. Now, I don't know if Rue's alive, if Rue overdosed, if she just relapsed. I don't know what happened. It's kind of a cliffhanger how this ended. But for me, I love the second half of this episode compared to the first half of the episode. A lot of our questions aren't answered, but I didn't feel annoyed or angry about it. I really enjoyed the first season of Euphoria. I think they did a very great job of building this world, of introducing us to these characters, of helping us understand these characters' flaws, the issues that they deal with. The topics of Euphoria are so relatable, so needed for today. And I love that they try to break down barriers, push boundaries, and really talk about things in a real way and not necessarily a made-for-TV drama type of way. But one of the things that I do want them to address more in season 2 is race. I think that race is something that we see, but is never talked about. It's never necessarily addressed, which is one of the main issues that I take with this series so far. But overall, I think that Zendaya, Jacob, they definitely need Emmy nominations for next year, depending on how everything stacks up. Definitely Zendaya for her portrayal of her character, especially the episode 7 of her kind of explaining what depression looks like. Even into this episode, I think she's done a very fantastic job with what she's done with this character. I really want them to just dive even deeper into all of the other characters to kind of fill them out a little bit more, as we've seen them do with RUE throughout this entire season. But I'm going to miss you guys so much. I'm so sorry that this review was so super long, but it was so much that I need to talk about, that I need to get off of my chest. I finally got it off of my chest. I'm going to miss you guys so much. Stop. Let me stop. Okay, I'm going to miss you guys so much. I cannot wait to chat with you guys again when Euphoria comes back. If you guys want to know any of the shows, I'm still doing Handmaid's Tale right now. I'm going to catch up on Claws this week. And Power starts at the end of August, end of this month, and American Horror Story starts up next month. So yeah, like that's pretty much everything. I'm gonna miss you guys so much. If you guys want to do the live stream chat, please let me know in the comment section below. But those are my thoughts on Euphoria season 1 episode 8. And they salted the earth. What's the name of this episode? Y'all know what the heck the name of the episode was. I forgot. Let me see. And the salt the earth behind you. So those are my thoughts on the Euphoria season 1 season finale. As always, my name is Sharona from Para Waits, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. I'll see you soon.